Book review time. We're talking about Redeeming Your Time by Jordan Raynor today. I thought this book was so impactful that I would make actually a video teaching some of the core principles of it, and we dive in here on YouTube and share with you some of our top takeaways. The first book I read this year of Jordan's was The Sacredness of Spiritual Work. I did a brief review on that previously, and that really resonated with me. It was all about the kingdom of God and how the work that we do with our hands in this life can impact eternity, and I really love that. I really believe that this life isn't just about escaping to heaven one day, but it's also about building God's kingdom here on earth and making the world a better place, and that's totally in alignment with His will. But in order to do that, we have to master our time and ourselves. It's a finite resource that we only have so much of, and we need to be good stewards of. Time management is something that we all struggle with, especially as business owners and entrepreneurs. I feel like our world is especially stressful and strenuous on how do we manage all the conflicting demands of family and business and faith and employees and just having fun and relaxing and resting and navigating all this busyness and distraction of the modern world. It's a lot, guys. And we need to have a biblical founded, super streamlined system so that we can navigate through this world. And that's exactly what Redeeming Your Time does. I feel like Jordan, and he basically admits it in this book, he doesn't plagiarize, but he takes like the best concepts from some of my favorite time management books of all time, and he puts them into his book. And he gives adequate credit throughout this book. But I know he's read Getting Things Done by David Allen. I see some of the core ideas there. I know he's read Deep Work by Cal Newport. That's one of my favorites, and elements of that are in there. The One Thing by Gary Keller is one of my all-time favorites, and talks about how multitasking is kind of a myth and you can only do one thing at a time, and you need to be able to focus on the one thing that's going to be most effective in that moment. So he covers a lot of that stuff in this book, but he synthesizes, I think, the best ideas from multiple authors that were the best of all time at time management, and gives you one easy to follow strategy. So if you've got like a kid, or if you're just like feeling like, I don't have any systems of time management, I don't want to read 10 books, I just want to read one book that just tells me exactly why to do what and how to do it. Like, Redeeming Your Time is a really good one book solution for this. And so I'm going to get into some of just the core ideas of this just to whet the appetite, but I definitely recommend you pick it up and read it and go deeper. One of the main ideas he lays out is based on a scripture of letting your yes be yes. And that is a biblical mandate of believers, is when our no is no and our yes is yes. We shouldn't have to swear an oath or anything like that. If we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. That's super hard to do today, because even if you have the best intentions to follow through and make your yes be yes, sometimes you just can't remember everything. You can overextend yourself, and you tend to be spinning too many plates, and you can let stuff fall, and that can really impact your testimony. It can really impact your faith and your walk if you're not a person of integrity, whether it's purposeful or not, that's able to fulfill their commitments. And so I see elements of David Allen's concepts here with Getting Things Done, but he really makes it easy to access with a chapter about your commitment tracking system, or CTS, as Jordan calls it. And that's just basically having a well-organized system to where any open loops that you're balancing in your head that are taking up bandwidth or RAM memory of your active brain, you want to be able to put them into preferably a digital system where you've got everything like in an inbox, and then you can sort that into either projects, which are things that take more than one step to get done, or just next actions, which are just things that are the next one single action to get something done. And then you want to take those and agree that I can't do everything. So you put everything in one place, but then you realize, like, I don't have time to do everything. And so you have to select the things that you're going to do this quarter, and you'll put those into projects and next actions you're going to do this quarter. And then all the other things that are on that huge list of things, you can put them on the someday projects list and the someday actions list. And that way you're purposefully choosing to neglect them now, but they're never going to take up your mental bandwidth, because you have a reliable parking lot. You have a place to put them. So you know, like, hey, I recognize that I want to do those things. I also recognize I'm limited and I can't do everything. And so I'm going to just park these right here for now and willfully neglect them. because that's going to allow me to focus on the things I need to focus on and I can get done right now. And just having a system like this that you're regularly updating. And then I take it even to the next step of I do it daily, where I'll take the projects and the next actions I agreed to this quarter, and I say, like, if I only get one thing done today, I borrow this from the Gary Keller one thing concept. What's the thing that's going to be the most impactful? That's going to make everything else easier or irrelevant? Like, what does that need to be today? And I pick a one thing every day, and I pick a top 3 things right behind that if I only get a few things done today, what does that need to be? And because I have these lists in the CTS and the commitment tracking system, I can pull the highest priority things and make sure I do those. I try to do those early in the morning when my energy is the highest. And Jordan talks about this in the book. He talks about mastering the morning. One of my favorite books on that topic, I tell you, I've read a ton of books on this, is A Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I love the book, The Miracle Morning. It really talks about how to master the morning. But Jordan takes elements of that and encourages you when your energy is the highest. For 80% of us, we're going to be most effective putting those most important tasks first thing. I like to do them at 6 to 8 a.m. before the world, because like the world doesn't demand anything of you before 8 a.m. typically. And so the most important things that I want to be able to focus on, I try to do in that 6 to 8 a.m. block. And he really drives that home, how important that is and how you can select the right things from your CTS system. And that brings me to the next point. One of the things he really teaches about is going deep with your work and having focus. He's borrowing concepts from Cal Newport here, the author of Deep Work, which is another great book. And that basically being able to focus and being able to focus on the things that are most impactful, that take focused brain power, is basically the superpower of the modern age, because very few people can do this now, because we all have goldfish brains that are fried from doom scrolling all day long, and we really struggle with focus, especially the younger generations. And so developing that discipline to select your focused projects and tasks, do them first thing, and to build a bunker of solitude to be able to knock those out, and then block time for shallows. Jordan calls it for time in the shallows, for serendipity, for responding quickly and interacting with others and having meetings. You have to do all that. You have to balance that. But he likes to front load the mornings of his day with the focused work, deep work time, and then have the meetings and the when you're at lower energy levels, because that works great for me, because I tend to draw energy from being around other people and having meetings and stuff. And I can be super tired, but if I show up to a meeting, it's like, okay, game on. I'm having a conversation with a cool person right now, and that's gonna light me up, just being around that other person. But if I try to like write something or do something that's building a spreadsheet, or that's just an involved, real focused thing, and I put that at the end of my day when I've already spent all my energy, like, I'm never gonna get it done. I'm just gonna sit there, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm like never gonna get it across the finish line. And so he just talks about how to organize your day and make sure you've got that deep work blocks figured out. And that's another core principle, is just kind of like how you structure your day is so important to be effective and productive. Jordan covers many other important topics. One of the other ones that's been important to me this year, and I just started implementing with my family, is a Sabbath day. And I think he's borrowing from the book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, which I haven't read yet, but my wife read. She really likes. We talked about some of the concepts, and they really talk about how to do a Sabbath with your family. And you can kind of choose your own rules for the Sabbath. We don't follow Jewish law in our house. We're Christian believers, and we're no longer under the law, but we think that there was some wisdom in God's original design, even how he created the world. He worked 6 days creating everything, and on the 7th day he rested, and then he instructed the Jews on a similar rhythm of their life. And there's some real wisdom to that. And I think our bodies and our spirits are really wired for that, to like work for 6 days and take a day of rest. And we can kind of define that how we want. We're operating under the freedom of Christ, under the new covenant, but I think there's still some timeless wisdom there. And we're going to borrow that from, the way God works himself and the way the Jewish faith works. And we're going to figure out how to do a Sabbath for our family. I've already been implementing that. We're like 50 to 80% of where I want to be on our Sabbath. We're definitely not perfect. We're definitely not firing all cylinders on that, but we're making progress. But the book, the chapter of Redeeming Your Time, where he goes into godly rest and building those times of rest and building a Sabbath, was very helpful because it really helped me to refine my Sabbath strategy for my family. And I picked up some takeaways that are going to make me and my family better. And so that's all to say, like, I can't recommend this book highly enough because it only took me, a few days, like maybe a week to read, just reading it like 20 minutes a day or something like that. It's only going to take you a few hours to read through. But if you just get 1 or 2 or 3 ideas that change the rhythm of your day to make every day forever better, is that time worth it? You bet you it's worth it, So it's like you're going to spend a few hours doing something that's going to potentially give you dividends for years to come, that's going to make you maybe achieve more than you would have ever dreamed of, have more peace in your life, have more rest in your life, let you be a person that is their yes more often, that gets more stuff done and does it from a place of peace and rest that's properly biblically grounded and follows the example of Jesus and how he managed stress and different people pulling him different directions. It talks all about that in the book. And so for all of those reasons, I highly recommend you read this book. You're going to get some takeaways that will change your life forever. And that's why I give it 5 out of 5 on my ratings. And I think you should go pick one up. You can get them Amazon, Audible, anywhere books are sold. It's called Redeeming Your Time by Jordan Raynor. Jordan, if you ever watch this, thank you for writing such a good book. God bless you, man. I hope you guys will read it.